Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight into admissions. My guest today is Priscilla Alicea. She is the Assistant Vice President for Undergrads at Georgian University. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, so usually I start my guests where you went to college. So where'd you go to school?
I went to Providence College in Rhode Island.
Ah, fantastic. Let's just go back a little bit in time. In high school, when did it all begin for you thinking about going to college? Was it freshman year, senior year? When did it all start for you?
It actually started my junior year. I joined a program that's called Upward Bound, which is part of the TRIO system through Rhode Island College. And I started by doing a summer session my junior year, and then every Saturday we had to go to class, and then we had to do another summer senior year, and then Saturday classes throughout senior year. And so that's where my college search really began, because I connected with my Upward Bound counselor, who was very instrumental in guiding me and letting me to Providence College.
Gotcha. So was Providence College the only college that you applied to, or did you have many schools looking at you?
I applied to 6 colleges. My mom worked for the University of Rhode Island, so that was a given. But of course, we don't want to go where our parents work, right? So I felt like I had to branch out. So primarily schools on the East Coast, so far south as Trinity in D.C., and as far north as Bates in Maine. Wow,
fantastic. So now you go to Providence. What's it like?
Well, it's a predominantly white institution. So being a first-generation Latina, it was a little bit of a culture shock. But I was able to really connect with their intercultural center. And so during my 4 years, that was sort of my home away from home. And so being involved on campus through the Intercultural Center really allowed me to find my voice, find my place. They were really helpful in just being a support system, both the dean of the Intercultural Center and the counselors that work there. So I was pretty involved by the time I became a senior.
Wow, fantastic. So now you graduate. How does one go from graduating to the assistant vice president at Georgian University?
A lot of years of hard work. So I actually have an education degree, and I thought I was going to be a high school teacher. And I had a colleague who was working in the admission office who was a year ahead of me. And she was leaving, and so she sort of recruited me to go work in the admission office at Providence, and I did that for 2 years.
Wow.
I really fell in love with the profession as a college admission counselor, and so was looking to stay in the field, and was granted an opportunity to move to Pennsylvania, and so I worked at Cheney University, which is an HBCU, and was there for about 4 years. And then moved to Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia and worked with a transfer population, so learning a new side of admission. And then left Thomas Jefferson and went down to Florida and worked at Florida Atlantic University, which is a large public institution with multiple campuses. And so I was working at the Jupiter and Port St. Lucie campus. Had an opportunity to go back home to Rhode Island and went to Bryant University, so working with your traditional student again. But this time they are a little bit different because Bryant is very business focused. And so was there for about 15 years. Had an opportunity to move to Indiana. Learning a new part of the country, a new region, and working at a really strong liberal arts institution. And so was at Earlham for 2 years. Have 2 daughters who are in the Philadelphia area, so was looking forward to coming back east, and was lucky enough to land the position at Georgian Court.
Wow, so you've stayed in the university realm, it's just different schools along the way.
I have, and it's been really nice because I've had an opportunity to work at different types of institutions, both big and small, specialized liberal arts, and so I feel like I have learned a lot about what the different types of students are there out there to recruit.
And all in admissions? Did you do that all in admissions?
All in admissions. Earlham, my last institution, was where I had an opportunity to really work on the financial aid side of the house. But for the most part, it all has encompassed enrollment management. So admission is not just admission. When you move up, you usually have to partner with different campus offices. So learning to work with the financial aid side of the house, but also learning to work with athletics and learning to work with retention. And so it really has broadened my horizons throughout my career.
So now, Georgian Court, what's the school like? Give me a little sense of the atmosphere, and then we'll get into admissions.
Sure. So Georgian Court is a regional institution. We're certainly looking to grow and certainly looking to increase the number of students that we currently have. We have about a 50-50 split between students who live on campus and students who commute. We have some signature programs like education, nursing. We also have some graduate level programs. But Georgian Court is on a growth mode, as I like to call it. And so we're really looking to not only recruit the students in New Jersey and provide wonderful opportunities for them, but also looking to branch out, let people outside of the New Jersey region know about Georgian Court. So looking to expand a little bit into Pennsylvania and Delaware and New York. But it's a wonderful place. We're small, which is what I really like, because you really get that personal attention, which I feel is so important for student success. Professors really get to know the students, they get to know what their career goals are, and the students really have an opportunity to work alongside their professors.
So when you say small, what's the population of the school?
So we have a little under 3,000 students, and then we have about half of our population traditional undergraduates, and then about half of our population are transfer and adult students who might be coming back to finish their educational journey.
So now admissions. How do you find the students? How do they find you?
It's really complex. It's not as simple as some people may think it is. It depends on your institution, right? Somebody, for example, like a Harvard, Yale, or Princeton might not have as hard of a time recruiting students, whereas somebody like Georgian Court might take us a little bit more work. But I really like the small aspect of a place like Georgian Court, because we really have an opportunity to build a relationship with the students that we're recruiting, with their parents. We really get to know a lot about them. And so we kind of have to go everywhere the students are, meet them where they are. So whether it's at a college fair, at a high school visit, it might be a church function, it might be a community-based function. So anywhere we're able to talk about Georgian Court and make a connection, I think that's how we like to go about recruiting our students.
And now, do you comb the whole country, or you pretty much focus on New Jersey, New York, Connecticut?
We're primarily focusing on New Jersey right now, and then little bits of Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New York, because we're a regional institution, and we really want people, particularly in the state of New Jersey, to really know about Georgian Court. What does Georgian Court have to offer? How can Georgian Court be their university of choice?
Yeah, so, and then you said that the school is about education and things of that sort. Is that the main focus of the school? I mean, is there, can you take up a lot of different other majors other than just education and a couple others that you taught?
You can. We have over 30 different programs, so 30 different majors. So again, programs like nursing, education, criminal justice. We also have a brand new program in cybersecurity, healthcare administration. But you can do your traditional languages, you can do your English, and you can do your economics and some business programs. So we are a liberal arts institution, but the programs that I mentioned previously were kind of our signature program. That's kind of how some people know Georgian Court.
Yeah.
But again, the goal is to let people know that we offer so much more than that. We have some students who have a double major. We have students who have a major and a minor. I think the great thing about Georgian Court is we really try to meet students to where their career objectives are. What is it that you want to do after your 4-year degree?
Now, as the Assistant Vice President of undergraduate admissions, What is entailed with your job? Is it going out to the different high schools and college fairs, or do you do mostly the stuff at the school?
A combination. So I have 7 other counselors that I work with, and so everybody has a piece of New Jersey, and so we do go out and recruit. So this is our heavy recruiting time. So we do a lot of high school visits, we do a lot of college fairs, we do some community-based programs, and so then once we're done, well, we're never done, but once the heavy recruiting cycle season is over, then we get into what's called your application reading cycle. And so now hopefully the goal is to get all of those students that you've met to apply. And so now we read their applications and we make admissions decisions. And then we start our yield process with them, getting them to make a commitment to Georgian court. So it's a combination of recruitment, reading, but also some yield activities, yield initiatives. And it's a team. It's not just me, but it's the undergraduate admissions team. And then we also have a graduate side of the house. So they work on some graduate and professional programs as well. So it's forever ongoing. We work with students. We start when sometimes they're sophomores. We sometimes start when they're juniors, sometimes when they're seniors. But we really never cease with them until the first day of class.
So now, how many people actually apply? How many people do you accept? Is it what's the requirements of the school? It's basically what I'm asking.
So we're looking for a traditional, the majority of our high school age student population are your students who are B plus students, students who have about a 1050 to 1100 SAT score, about a 20 ACT score, pretty much a solid college prep curriculum. We require them to submit an application, but also their transcripts, and we have some optional essay and teacher recommendations. And really we're looking for students who we feel that can handle college level work, students who are prepared but also willing to work hard to be successful. And so in terms of kind of the application numbers, we get anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 applications. Wow. We accept a little over half of the students who apply, and then every year we have a freshman class. We try to gauge anywhere between 250 to 300 enter in freshmen, and then about the same number for our transfer students.
So now, when they come to school there, what do they get as an experience? Do you go through an orientation? Do they do different types of things as a freshman when they get there?
Well, the beauty of being at a small school is that you do work with the students right until the first day of class. And so we help them throughout the transitional period, so transitioning from finishing high school to getting ready for college. And so making sure that they have all of their forms that they need, if they're going to be a resident student, if they're going to be a commuter student. Do they have their health forms that are required? And so we do have an orientation for all new students, and that happens usually 3 days before the start of the semester. So usually around the last week of August. We started classes this year on the 26th. So the week prior we had orientation, we had our new students move into the residence halls, and so we do try to transition them. It is a transitional period, and so we try to give them as much information as we can up front, but it really is an ongoing process. We have an office at Georgian Court, which is the Office of Student Success and Advocacy, and so that office works with the orientation office. We also work with our advisors. We have faculty who advise students, so making sure that the students have the classes that they need for their major, making sure that they have the prerequisites, that they're taking their placement exams. So again, it's a process. It's not just, you're admitted, and now it's time to come. There has to be a lot of things that happen in between.
So now a student gets there, is there extracurricular activities that go on as well? Do you have sports? Do you have clubs?
We have over 60 different clubs and organizations. So again, it depends on what the students are interested in. This is their journey. This is their experience. So we want them to do things that they're going to enjoy. We realize that they have to go to class, but they're not going to be in class 24 hours, right? 8 of them hopefully will be sleeping, so what are they going to do for the next 16? We try to tell them to plan 8 hours for school and then 8 hours for fun, right? And so we do have over 60 clubs and organizations. We are also NCAA Division II, so we do have athletic programs for men and women. So it could be men and women's lacrosse, men and women's soccer, men and women's basketball, cross country, track and field, volleyball.
Wow.
Most of our athletes are recruited, but we do also have some walk-ons. So again, it depends on the student. We try to cater to them as much as possible because we want them to have fun, but also be successful.
Right.
And what's going to keep them engaged? What sparks their interest? What do they like to do? The goal is to get 100% involvement, but realistically, we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And because we have such a split population between the students who commute and the students who live on campus, we also try to offer a variety of activities at different hours of the day so that everybody can participate.
So the biggest question that parents always have is financial aid.
Sure.
Or the cost of the school. What does Georgian Court do for families like that?
So we try to meet families where they are. In an ideal world, we would offer students 100% of their demonstrated need, but unfortunately that is not the case. We don't have an unlimited pot of money to give away. But we are very generous. We offer merit-based scholarships depending on the student's academic profile. We also offer athletics scholarships that would come from the coach's assessment in terms of their talent. And then we also offer need-based aid that would come depending on the family information on the FAFSA form. So that is the only form that we require families to fill out if they want to be considered for need-based aid. So we try to put together a financial aid package that is competitive, because we know that our area is very competitive in terms of institutions,
Right.
but also what is going to be affordable for the families. And we try to make it affordable. Every family is different.
Yep.
Every family has different situations. The best advice that I would give to parents is to make sure that they file a FAFSA form as early as possible, and B, to have communication with our financial aid office. There's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to financial aid, because it's really dependent on the family situation.
Now, how about tours? Can kids come and find you? Can they go to the school, do a tour at the school? How does that all work?
They can. So the easiest way would be to go to our website, which is www.georgian.edu. We do have a virtual tour on our website that students can take, but they can also visit us. We have a campus in Lakewood, and we offer tours twice a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And then we also offer tours on Saturdays at 10 o'clock. In addition, we do have open houses, and we'll have one in September, on September 28th, and then we'll have another one in November, on November 23rd. That is also a great opportunity for students and parents to ask their specific questions, because we do try to provide as many resources to them when they visit. So again, it depends on where the family is, right? Some families just want to come, they just want to take a tour, get some information, and that's it. Other families want to come, they want to meet with financial aid, they want to meet with the coach, they want to meet with a faculty member. And so again, because we're small, we're able to really personalize the student's experience when they visit.
Yeah, so when they visit, they can schedule all that before time, or do they do it while they're there?
They can schedule it before time, as long as we know. If they reach out to us and tell us, this is what I'd like to do during my time on campus, we can set all of that up for them prior to them visiting.
Wow, fantastic. So now, a student that comes there, what's the difference between touring the school and an open house of the school?
An open house, we try to provide as many resources as possible. So during an open house, They get to hear from the president, which may not always happen when they just come for a tour. It really depends on his schedule. But for open house, we try to make him available for students and parents. They have an opportunity during the open house to go out on a tour, but they also have an opportunity to visit the different academic programs. So, for example, if a student is undecided, they can visit the education table and get some information. They can visit the mathematics table or the computer information systems table and get some information. Or they can visit the economics table and get some information. And so we have what's called kind of a service fair. So not only can they get academic information, but they may have housing questions. And they may want to speak with somebody from Residence Life, or they may have health questions because they may have a specific need, or they may want to talk to some public safety officers because they're concerned about safety. So during the open house, they'll have an opportunity to do a fair type of event. And then they also have an opportunity to go to some specific sessions.
Now, do they do anything with the students to get acclimated to the area? Is there anything else in the area other than just the school, or is it just confined where the school is it?
Well, we have what's called pretty much a closed campus. So we have one main entrance to Georgian Court, which makes us a very safe campus. But in the town of Lakewood, we certainly try to have our students go out into the community, whether it be for community service or for internships. We're also in a pretty suburban type of location, so there's definitely your Target and Walmart and your Chipotle and Starbucks. So the students do have access to all of that. Not as easily within a walk-in distance, but certainly we do allow students to have cars on campus so that they can get around if need be.
Wow. And because you're in Lakewood, you're probably very close to the beach in New Jersey.
We are about 20 minutes from the beach. Point Pleasant is my favorite so far.
So at the high schools, when you're at the high schools, what are some of the things that parents come up to you and ask you about when you go to these seminars at the high schools or college nights or things of that sort?
Sure. So when we visit a high school, there could be three different reasons why. Number one is we're doing an individual high school visit. So that's specifically arranged through the guidance office during the day. We'll meet with the students who are interested. We'll send the guidance office advance notice, in terms of when we're going to be there, what our time frame is, so on and so forth. And then if the student is on our mailing list, the student will also receive notification that we're going. We could also visit what's called as part of a mini program circuit. So we're traveling as a cohort, so you could have 20, 30 colleges and universities traveling to different high schools throughout the day. And that's usually an hour and a half, and it's everybody together. So it's not just Georgian Court alone, but it's Georgian Court and 20 other schools that are visiting during the day. And then we could do what's called a college night, where often than not, the parents are also invited. And so that's pretty much, again, students and parents shopping, going around to the different schools, getting information. Parents, oftentimes, their questions are, A, how much does it cost?
Sure.
B, what financial aid is available? C, what is your graduation rate, retention rate? Those types of questions.
Yeah, and I'm assuming graduating at the school and having a success department and retention for the students, it's pretty high based on that.
We have about an 80% retention graduation rate. Our goal is, of course, to get it to 100. And so the reason why we have a student success advocacy and success office is for that same reason. At Georgian Court, we have an early alert system. So, for example, if a student misses 2 consecutive classes, the professor can contact the early alert team to say, hey, so-and-so has not been in class 2 days in a row. Can somebody look into this? And so, again, it depends on the situation. It could be we're noticing that so-and-so is sick, or so-and-so is not being, a participant, can somebody reach out? And so, again, we try to catch the issues before they become issues, so that we can help the student be successful.
Great.
But again, we're small, right? And I think that's a signature piece of being at a small institution, that you are able to get to know your students. You are able to anticipate what some of their needs are. You are able to reach out. I'll give you a funny anecdote. I was walking with the director of the Student Success Program, and he saw 5 young men walking together, and he just said, "Hey, I need all of you to come to my office. I need to see you all. I want to make sure everything is going okay, and you guys are having,
Wow.
a great start." And so you build those relationships so that you can help that student be successful.
Great. So we're coming to the end of our show, and usually I ask my guests, what advice do you want to give to the parents and the students that are watching this about coming to Georgian Court? What advice do you want to give to them?
My best advice is to ask questions. That's what we're here for. We're here to help students and parents along the process. This is a process. There is a start to it. There is an end to it. I would say to the students to really have an opportunity to get to know your admission counselor. We are there every day. We know the resources that we have. And so if they have a specific question, let us know. I would also say pay attention to deadlines. They become very important, particularly in the financial aid process. And then to parents, I would say, as sometimes it is hard to let the students steer the ship. This is their journey, right? And we want them to be successful. We want to transition them to adulthood. And so while parents are certainly huge supporters, huge influencers, it is the student's process. So, let them fill out their applications, let them create their passwords. I can't tell you how many times during my, lifetime I'll get a call from a mom will say, I filled out my son's application and I can't remember the password. Or we'll have a student say, I can't log into my Common App, and we'll say, well, do you remember what your password is? And they'll say, no, my mom filled it out for me. So I always tell parents, let them steer the ship. Let the students take this as their journey, knowing that you're there to help, you're there to mentor them, have open communication, make decisions together. We want, the students to be happy, but we want the families to be happy as well, because they're going to have to support the students throughout the 4 years. So
Sure.
It's a journey that they have to take together. It can't be just the student. It can't be just the parent. It has to be together.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. My
Yeah.
pleasure.
So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.